The next step for families and
Yeah.
even us at the state level and local level is to make a plan.
Right.
And there's a lot of components to that
Right.
plan, and you had hit on some of those, but things even such as communication.
Let's go through the factors.
Okay.
We talked a little bit about sort of what are the personal items that one should have in order. Is it, wills, or what are those types of things?
Any documents that you're going to need, important documents, those documents that you keep in your file drawer at home or safe, duplicates of those documents in a separate location, preferably maybe out of your region or somewhere safe. Where
So you would like, if you take a look at, we're right now and our family is trying to work through, and we've been on some of the websites, and our first thing is getting all of our documents put together. And so all of our life insurance policies, all our automobile insurance policies, all our home ownership policies, what we have done is we've got a copy in a secure place at our home, and then we also have a copy at our safety deposit box.
Yep.
And that's one of the things, so that from what some of the things that we've read in the post-Katrina issues, even getting those documents was a big problem because of the those many people just weren't prepared and didn't have those organized, and it's reduced a lot of time if they had all those in one spot.
Correct, and they could even check with their insurance company to say, if this did happen, what documents are you going to want from me? And they may be able to offer some insight.
Okay, so to take a list of what those important documents are, and ideally probably to have a will. Ideally probably to have some sort of a copy of your major insurance policies, and then any of your key retirement accounts, those types of things.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's sort of getting your personal documentation in order, step one. Okay, then the next component is there some sort of like, I assume there's sort of a base issue of how, having some dollars set aside, emergency money, some potential food. How much do you guys recommend a week, and what do you recommend in those types of things?
Well, it's 3 to 5 days. Everyone should be self-sustaining for 3 to 5 days. And that's going to depend on
how many kids
what
you
want to do. Yeah, but it's 3 to 5 days, and you're looking at food and water, and all that information is on the website that we can give a little bit later. That says, these are the things that you need. Right.
And so your suggestion is that you have stored, X amount of gallons per person per day.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And that you have, like I was in the Army, so you don't want, whether it be freeze-dried food or canned goods or something along that lines that are relatively portable if you have to leave. But generally, most of the situations you encourage people, you're planning for them to stay at your homes for a while.
Right. And when it comes to putting a kit together, you can spend money to do it, or you can just try to take things off the shelf. If you do have canned goods, obviously you need a manual can opener, which some people may forget. Or you can spend some money. There's meals ready to eat that the military uses.
Now we call those meals rejected by Ethiopians.
They've gotten better. Yes, they have gotten better. My boys love them. They think it's the greatest thing. So, but they're lightweight. They're compact. They're waterproof. I mean, they make a good item, but again, you're going to spend a little bit of money to pull those together. So pretty much anything, most people have what they need already in their home. It's just a matter of collecting all of that and putting it in 5-gallon buckets or Tupperware, or bags, however they choose to carry it.
Very good. Now, on the communication side, you talked about a little bit about a communication side. I was intrigued. The Allen family has found old rotary dial telephones. And we have one in each one of our 2 houses because, as you probably know, in our Senate district we leave our home in Traverse City usually on Sundays in the afternoon, then drive to our house in Lansing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then come back to northern Michigan on Thursday nights or Fridays.
Right.
So what's the deal? Why do you need a rotary dial phone, or are encouraged to have a rotary dial phone?
Well, if you have a touch-tone phone and the power goes out, a lot of those phones won't work if you lose the power.
And is that just because of the pulse in the phone, or?
I'm not real sure how that part works out, but I have experienced that before. When we talk about communications, we always look at redundancy, and being in the military, you understand that if it can go wrong, it's going to go wrong. So in addition to telephone contact, have a plan so if there's a disaster or an emergency, if you could not contact anyone in your family, where is it that you meet? Is it back at your home? Or if your home is in that area that's a disaster, maybe it's a cottage or a relative that's a little bit a ways away. That'll help so everyone's on the same page.
Okay, so like if your kids are at school, you need to work through your family on, okay, we have an emergency, and then what's the process of picking your kids up at school?
That's going to be dependent on the district, and that sometimes is a touchy subject because parents want to go to the school to pick their children up. Sometimes that's not always the best thing, especially if it's a shelter-in-place situation. We want the children to stay in the school, and we've worked with the schools to update their emergency plans.
Recently, President Bush was down to the challenge that was down in the South about the school that got hit by the tornado, and that is an example of those being in place. Is that what you're talking about?
Correct. Yep. All the schools in Michigan, we have plans, emergency plans in place, and what we did is we allocated some funding to them if they put a terrorism annex to the end of it, so the lockdown procedures and things of that nature. So we're prepared for some of these incidents that have happened in schools.
So the family should check with their, like we've got kids, and so we should check with our school to find out what the policies and procedures are.
Correct.
And is that available sometimes online, or is that?
You'd have to check with the school administrator on that. It's one of those subjects where we have all these plans, but if you make the plans really accessible, then you're kind of giving our playbook to somebody that wishes to do us harm. So check with them. Their local emergency manager can really assist them.
Okay, very good. Okay, so you talked about some sort of point to meet. So you've got to deal with your kids at school. Then if your house area is under then you should, how far away do you recommend that this other rally point or this other meeting place be?
I don't know if I could give a set area, because it's just going to depend. If you're in an area that's prone to flooding, maybe look at the map and see, okay, I need to be at least this far out. So it's just going to be dependent.
So really, you sort of sit down as a family and figure out if there's a problem with a tornado. The first issue is, probably, are you guys recommending always go back to your home as kind of your first step, or?
No, because if the incident, say it's a chemical incident, a tanker tips over and there's chemicals and the plume is going over your residence, you don't want your kids to, you don't want to go back to the house. So that's where that second point, we go home if it's possible, but if that's not possible, we have secondary rally points.
And so you look at your relatives is probably one of the primary good friends, or the nice lady down the street that you feel comfortable with is one of those.
And communicate that information to them.
What other types of communications? I've heard some people suggest like one of these all-weather radios.
Absolutely. Every household should have a NOAA weather radio in their home. We're very good as a state and as a nation at getting information across the television screen. But people aren't always watching TV, but having that radio in the house where it goes off automatically, that'll definitely help.
Is there a process on those? Is that you just kind of go to your local electronic store and they have those types of radios available too?
You can order them through multiple areas, or just go to a store.
Are there other types of things that, we talked about the dial phone, that's something that I understand is strongly encouraged. A weather phone, or the weather radio. Any other types of things that are strongly encouraged?
For communications?
Communications,
The biggest is having a written plan, having that communications plan, no matter what it is, written down, and of course everyone knows about it, which is kind of the next step. Once you do all this, is to practice that plan. If you don't practice the plan, it's not going to work. We've always practiced fire alarms or fire drills and tornado drills, especially at the schools and at our homes, getting out of a home in case there's a fire. This is something that we have to exercise.
So like on a fire, you have the tree, or you go next door to the neighbor's house as far as where you're going to go on a fire. And the tornadoes, you go down to your basement. And so that's all part of the practice component as far as things going on.